morning, everyone. I hope that you all had a nice weekend. Today we're going to go over the cell analogy project, which will be your only assignment for this week. It's going to be broken up into sections, and I'm going to go over it in detail here. Remember that this video or recording is a resource, so if you have questions or if you forget what you're supposed to do later on, you can always go back to this video and fast forward, rewind, whatever. You can always reach out to Miss Collins and me too if you have any questions. We're here to help you. So an analogy is a language arts term, but we actually use analogies all of the time. They help us understand the meaning of words better. They give us a deeper understanding. And an analogy is simply a comparison between two things. We usually do it for the purpose of explanation. So if you remember back to textbook page 124, because I'm sure you all read it to do your cell theory assignment, the scientist Robert Hooke named the cell. And he did that because he found when you looked at a cell under the microscope, it looked like a small empty room, okay? And cells are simply small rooms, okay? So think of a jail cell, or in this picture, it's a monk's room, okay? Monks choose to live a very simple life, and they live in rooms that are similar to this one, okay? So cells are often compared to rooms or buildings or cities, and that helps us compare them to other things that give us a deeper understanding. The most popular example is a city. So you should be able to recognize at this point that that is a diagram of a cell, and there are a lot of labels. Each one of these structures is a different organelle, and they're being compared to different things that you would find in a city, okay? A concrete barrier, you might guess, could be the cell wall. A protein factory would be like ribosomes. A reservoir would be a vacuole, so on and so forth. I recognize this as the nucleus, which is being compared to the town hall because it's the control center. This looks like a mitochondria right here, and it's called the East Side Power Plant. So this diagram is showing you a lot of different analogies of organelles being compared to parts of a city. So for this project, these are the directions. This is the handout that you would have gotten at school. I'm going to go over it right now, and you can always refer back to that as well. It's attached to your Google assignments. For the introduction, you can read along with me. The parts of a cell can be compared to things we know well. For example, the cell itself is comparable to a small city, with functions assigned to tiny workers within its walls. Inside the cell membrane, the city of the cell is populated by little workers called organelles that perform the services that keep the cell alive. They can be compared to the workers, factories, and transportation and communication systems that are vital to a working community. More specifically, the mitochondria burn the carbohydrate fuel that is taken into the cell. Therefore, mitochondria are rather like power plants, burning coal to make the electricity that keeps a city running. So the learning goal for this project is to use and model analogies that describe the function of a cell as a whole and how organelles contribute to that function. You will compare the organelles within a cell to an everyday environment, like a city, that serve similar functions, such as a city, a home, a restaurant, a baseball game, a school, Students have done TV shows before, movies. The possibilities are endless. So you'll be creating a model of an environment where you use places to represent the functions of cell organelles. I will also add that if you want to take it a step further, some people have also used characters from TV shows, and that's fine. The most important thing is that your analogies make sense. When you're making a comparison between an organelle and a person or a thing, it actually has to coincide with the function of that organelle. So your requirements are laid out by day. Today, you're just completing the Google form, which means watching this overview and then answering the 3 questions about what you want to do for your project. Tuesday and Wednesday, you'll be completing the cell analogy table, which will be in a Google Doc, also posted in Google Classroom. And then Thursday and Friday, you'll be working on the actual project or product. The product could be a drawing, it could be a 3D model, a diorama, a Google drawing. You could do it in Google Slides. You could make a YouTube video, a collage, a song. All of these things have been done before, and you can take it in any direction you want. If you want to keep it simple, you'll just do a drawing. If you like doing these types of things and you have extra time on your hands, do whatever you want. Be as creative as you want. Product should, of course, be neat, colorful, complete, and accurate. You're not required to do anything fancy. If you don't have the materials in the house to do a 3D model, just do a drawing. If you don't have paper and markers or pencil, do it on the computer. You could always do a Google slideshow. Again, it doesn't really matter what the product is, but it should be neat, and it's important that your analogies make sense. If you do go above and beyond and put creativity in it, we will be showcasing them. Mr. Miley is putting together a Davies Spotlight of student work during this distance learning period, and with your permission, we will submit your project. So today, after this, you have to answer the 3 questions in the Google form. And then tomorrow and Wednesday, you have to complete the analogy table. You only have to do one of these tables, okay? You have to choose whether you're going to use a plant cell or an animal cell. You do not have to do both, okay? I'm going to say it again. You are only supposed to do either a plant cell or an animal cell, which means you finish one of these tables, not both of them. And you have Tuesday and Wednesday to finish one of those tables. We're going to look at the plant cell analogy table. So if you decide to do a plant cell for your project, you'll see that there are organelles listed on this table, that the organelle's function or role is already provided for you. And then the only part you have to finish is the yellow boxes, or are the yellow boxes. You have to come up with an analogy and then explain that analogy for each of those organelles. All right, so I'm going to go over a couple examples. For a nucleus, okay, you can read that the nucleus contains DNA and is responsible for growth and reproduction. It is known as the control center of the cell. I can add the analogy that the nucleus is like the city hall in my town. The mayor's office is there, and it's like the control center of the city. Mitochondria are known as the powerhouses. It's where energy is produced. So an analogy I could use for that is that it's like a power plant in my city. It is where energy is produced to power the cell or the city, okay? And then at the bottom, you'll find that you have to pick one more organelle. I just did endoplasmic reticulum. So if you're not sure what organelles you could use, you can go to the attached diagram. You can Google what these different organelles do. Okay, it's up to you. Here is the animal cell analogy table. If you decide to do an animal cell, you'll see that some of the organelles are different, okay, because plant cells have the chloroplasts, they have the cell wall, so it's your choice. There's also a diagram of an animal cell there for your use. And then part 2 will start on Thursday and Friday. So on Thursday, you'll get that Google assignment posted, and that's where you're supposed to be working on the product. It'll be either the drawing, the model, the video, whatever you choose to do to show your analogies. I'm going to go over some examples here. On the left, there's a drawing. Okay, you can see that each drawing is labeled power plant, and then it also shows the organelle, okay, because there's no point in just drawing a city without labeling the analogies. Okay, so the power plant is like the mitochondria, a mall is like the ribosomes, and just make sure that you're giving proper explanations in your table so that you can use these in your drawings. It has to make sense. Here is the 3D model that someone made. I've had students use Legos for their models, cardboard boxes, food. It's whatever you want to do. And then the last example is a SpongeBob SquarePants video, okay? Some of these analogies aren't the strongest, but I like what the student did to do. You know, it's pretty creative, and everybody loves SpongeBob SquarePants. So that one's cute, right? It's a popular one. All right, that is it. So to review, this video explained the project. It's pretty open-ended. You can take it as far as you want. If you're like, this seems like a lot, keep it simple, okay? There's nothing wrong with keeping it simple. Use a city. There's a lot of examples out there comparing organelles to different parts of a city. You can use a city, make a drawing, or You can go big, go creative. You've